You think you know Liv Morgan. You think she's just another pretty face who got lucky with a championship run. Well, buckle up because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see one of WWE's most criminally underutilized superstars. While everyone's been sleeping on Liv Morgan, she's been quietly building a legacy that puts most of your favorite wrestlers to shame. And if WWE doesn't wake up soon, they're about to lose one of the most authentic and compelling performers of this generation. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you saw a wrestler go from absolute zero to champion while facing more adversity, more setbacks, and more corporate politics than anyone should have to endure? When was the last time you witnessed someone literally will themselves into relevance through pure heart and determination? That's exactly what Liv Morgan has done, and the fact that half the wrestling world still doesn't recognize her genius is exactly why this industry is broken. Right now, as we speak, Liv Morgan is sitting in a position where she could either become the next breakout megastar or fade into obscurity, and it all depends on whether WWE finally realizes what they have in front of them. But here's the kicker. Based on everything I've uncovered about WWE's current creative direction and backstage politics, they might be about to make the biggest mistake in recent memory. The truth about Liv Morgan's journey isn't just a wrestling story, it's a masterclass in perseverance that exposes everything wrong with how WWE develops talent. From her early days as a forgotten member of the Riot Squad to her recent championship runs, every single step of her career has been an uphill battle against a system that seemed designed to hold her back. And yet, somehow, she's not only survived but thrived in ways that should make every other wrestler take notes. But before we dive deep into why Liv Morgan represents everything right about professional wrestling in an era of corporate manufactured entertainment, let me paint you a picture of just how stacked the odds have been against her from day one. When Liv Morgan first stepped into a WWE ring, she wasn't handed opportunities like some of her contemporaries. She wasn't fast-tracked through NXT with a ready-made character and storyline. She was thrown into the deep end with minimal training, minimal support, and expectations so low that most people didn't even bother learning her name. The Riot Squad era should have been Liv's breakout moment, but instead, it became a perfect example of how WWE's creative team can take three talented individuals and somehow make them less than the sum of their parts. Ruby Riott was positioned as the clear leader, Sarah Logan had her unique backwoods character, and Liv Morgan. She was just there, filling space, playing a watered-down version of herself while the writing team seemed to have no clue what to do with her natural charisma and energy. Watch those early Riot Squad matches again, really watch them, and you'll see something that most people missed at the time. While Ruby and Sarah were playing characters, Liv was being herself, just turned up to 11. Her reactions, her expressions, her genuine excitement and frustration, it was all real. She wasn't acting. She was fighting for her place in an industry that kept telling her she wasn't ready, wasn't polished enough, wasn't what they were looking for. When the Riot Squad disbanded, it should have been the end for Liv Morgan. Logic dictated that Ruby would get the push as the leader, Sarah would find her niche, and Liv would fade into the background of main event matches and random feuds. But here's where the Liv Morgan story gets interesting, and where WWE's creative short-sightedness becomes painfully obvious. Instead of capitalizing on Liv's natural underdog appeal, WWE stuck her in a series of forgettable storylines that seemed designed to kill her momentum rather than build it. The Lana and Bobby Lashley love triangle angle wasn't just bad television, it was character assassination. Taking someone with Liv's authenticity and forcing her into a soap opera storyline that made no sense for her character was like taking a Ferrari and using it as a lawnmower. But even during that disaster of a storyline, something remarkable happened. Liv Morgan found a way to make it work. Not because the writing was good. It wasn't, but because she brought such genuine emotion and commitment to even the most ridiculous segments that audiences couldn't help but connect with her. She took career-damaging material and somehow emerged with her credibility intact, which is a skill that separates good performers from great ones. The real turning point came when WWE finally, decided to let Liv Morgan be herself. The friendship and eventual rivalry with Rhea Ripley showcased everything that makes Liv special as a performer. Here was a story that felt organic, characters that felt real, and emotions that weren't manufactured in a writer's room. Liv's desperation to prove herself against someone she genuinely admired created television that felt authentic in a way that's becoming increasingly rare in modern WWE. And then came the Judgment Day storyline, arguably one of the most complex and compelling character arcs WWE has produced in recent years, and they barely scratched the surface of its potential. The idea of Liv infiltrating and ultimately corrupting Judgment Day wasn't just good storytelling, it was a perfect vehicle for showcasing Liv's range as a performer. She went from sympathetic outsider to manipulative mastermind to conflicted anti-hero, often within the same segment. But here's what really grinds my gears about how WWE handled that storyline. They had lightning in a bottle and they let it slip away. The Liv Morgan who turned Rhea Ripley's world upside down, who played mind games with Dominic Mysterio, who single-handedly shifted the entire dynamic of one of WWE's most popular factions, that version of Liv Morgan was must-see television. Every week, fans were tuning in just to see what she would do next, how far she would go, what line she would cross. And WWE's response? They rushed through the payoff, diluted the stakes, and moved on to the next shiny object. It's the perfect microcosm of everything wrong with modern wrestling creative. They create something special and then immediately undermine it because they don't trust their own storytelling enough to let it breathe and develop naturally. Let's talk about Liv Morgan's championship reigns, because this is where the underestimation becomes criminal. When she won her first Women's World Championship, the reaction from a significant portion of the wrestling community was lukewarm at best. Critics called it a sympathy reign, a consolation prize, a way to keep the title warm for someone more deserving. Those critics were wrong on every single level. Liv Morgan as champion brought something to WWE programming that had been missing for years: genuine unpredictability. You never knew which version of Liv you were going to get on any given night. The sweet, girl next door character who just wanted to belong. The calculating manipulator who would destroy friendships for gold. The fierce competitor who would fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. All of those versions were authentic to who Liv Morgan is as a performer, and the fact that she could seamlessly transition between them made her one of the most dynamic champions in recent memory. But the wrestling world's obsession with traditional markers of success, height, look, perceived credibility, blinded too many people to what was actually happening on their screens. Liv Morgan wasn't just holding the championship, she was elevating it. Her feuds felt personal. Her matches had emotional stakes beyond just winning and losing. She made people care about women's wrestling in a way that pure technical excellence or corporate push couldn't achieve. The numbers don't lie. During Liv Morgan's championship runs, social media engagement for women's wrestling segments increased dramatically. Merchandise sales spiked. More importantly, attendance and viewer retention for her segments consistently outperformed expectations. When someone who was supposedly just keeping the title warm starts moving the needle that significantly, maybe it's time to reconsider who actually deserves to be champion. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the criticism that Liv Morgan isn't a technical wrestler. This argument is so fundamentally flawed that it exposes how little some fans understand about what actually makes professional wrestling work. Yes, Liv isn't Bret Hart in the ring. She's not going to have a 5-star technical masterpiece every night. But you know what she does better than almost anyone on the current roster? She tells stories in the ring that people actually care about. Wrestling isn't gymnastics. It's not figure skating. Technical proficiency is just one tool in a wrestler's toolkit, and frankly, it's often overvalued by fans who mistake complexity for quality. Hulk Hogan wasn't a technical wrestler. Stone Cold Steve Austin's moveset could fit on a napkin. The Rock was never going to win any mat wrestling competitions. But all of them understood something that many of today's technically gifted performers miss: wrestling is about making people feel something. Liv Morgan makes people feel something. When she's getting beaten down by a larger opponent, you believe she's in real danger. When she finally starts her comeback, you can feel the crowd's energy shift. When she hits her finishing move, there's genuine uncertainty about whether it's going to be enough. That's the magic of professional wrestling, and Liv has it in spades. Her match with Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam wasn't a technical masterpiece, but it was a storytelling clinic. Every move meant something. Every near fall built tension. The finish felt earned, not given. Compare that to some of the perfectly choreographed, technically sound matches that leave audiences cold, and tell me which one is actually better wrestling. The international appeal of Liv Morgan is another factor that WWE seems to consistently undervalue. In an era where the company is desperately trying to expand globally, they have a performer who naturally connects with audiences regardless of language or cultural barriers. Liv's expressiveness, her genuine emotions, her ability to convey character without words, these are universal qualities that translate across any market. I've seen the social media numbers from WWE's international markets during Liv Morgan segments. The engagement rates are through the roof. Fan art, tribute videos, and social media discussions spike whenever she's featured prominently. This isn't manufactured buzz from WWE's marketing department. This is organic fan connection that money can't buy. And yet, WWE continues to treat her like a mid-card afterthought instead of the global star she's clearly becoming. The backstage stories about Liv Morgan paint a picture of someone who is everything WWE claims to want in their performers but somehow fails to fully capitalize on. Multiple sources have described her as one of the hardest working people in the company, always the first to arrive and last to leave. She studies tape obsessively, constantly works on improving her craft, and goes out of her way to help younger talent find their footing. More importantly, she's someone who genuinely loves professional wrestling. In an era where too many performers seem to view WWE as a stepping stone to Hollywood or mainstream fame, Liv Morgan treats every match, every segment, every appearance as an opportunity to create something special. That kind of passion is increasingly rare, and it's exactly what WWE should be building their future around. The creative missed opportunities with Liv Morgan are staggering when you really break them down. The Judgment Day infiltration storyline could have run for years, with Liv slowly corrupting each member of the faction while maintaining plausible deniability. Instead, it was wrapped up in a few months with a relatively clean resolution that left money on the table. The friendship and rivalry with Rhea Ripley had layers that WWE barely explored. Two women from completely different backgrounds finding common ground, then having that bond tested by ambition and outside forces. That's the kind of human story that creates lasting fan investment. But instead of letting it develop naturally, WWE rushed to the big match and moved on to the next feud. Even her current positioning feels like a waste of her potential. Liv Morgan should be the centerpiece of the women's division, the character that everything else revolves around. Instead, she's often treated as just another name in the mix, someone who can step up when needed but isn't essential to WWE's long-term plans. It's creative malpractice of the highest order. The comparison points for Liv Morgan's career trajectory reveal just how unique her path has been. Most successful WWE performers fall into one of several categories. They're either hand-picked projects who get fast-tracked to success, established stars who arrive with proven track records, or technical specialists who earn respect through in-ring excellence. Liv doesn't fit any of these molds, which makes her success all the more remarkable and all the more frustrating when it's undervalued. She's created her own category, the authentic underdog who earned everything through sheer force of personality and determination. In a company that often feels overproduced and artificial, Liv Morgan represents something real. Her reactions feel genuine because they are genuine. Her emotions connect with audiences because she's not hiding behind a character, she's amplifying the best parts of who she actually is. This authenticity is exactly what WWE claims to be looking for in their performers, yet when they find it in someone like Liv Morgan, they seem unsure of how to capitalize on it. They're more comfortable with performers who fit predetermined molds, who can be easily categorized and marketed. Liv's complexity, the way she can be vulnerable and strong, sweet and calculating, sympathetic and manipulative, sometimes within the same segment, makes her harder to package but infinitely more interesting to watch. The business case for pushing Liv Morgan harder is overwhelming. She moves merchandise. She generates social media engagement. She creates water cooler moments that get people talking about WWE programming. She appeals to demographics that wrestling companies desperately need to reach: women, younger fans, international audiences. From a pure business standpoint, not building the company around someone with her combination of skills and appeal is corporate malpractice. But perhaps most importantly, Liv Morgan represents something that professional wrestling desperately needs more of: hope. In an industry that often feels cynical and corporate, where storylines are focus grouped to death and characters feel manufactured rather than organic, Liv's journey reminds us why we fell in love with wrestling in the first place. She's proof that hard work, authentic emotion, and genuine passion can still triumph over politics and predetermined plans. Her story resonates because it mirrors the struggles that regular people face every day. She's been underestimated, overlooked, and written off, yet she's continued fighting and proving her worth. In a world where success often seems predetermined for the chosen few, Liv Morgan represents the possibility that anyone can make it if they're willing to work hard enough and believe in themselves strongly enough. The current state of Liv Morgan's career sits at a crossroads that will define not just her legacy but WWE's commitment to developing authentic talent. They can continue to undervalue her contributions, treat her as a solid mid-card performer who can be counted on for decent matches and competent storylines. Or they can recognize what they have: a once-in-a-generation talent who combines natural charisma, authentic emotion, and genuine passion for the business in a way that creates stars, not just wrestlers. The window for WWE to fully capitalize on Liv Morgan's potential won't stay open forever. Wrestling careers are finite, fan attention is fleeting, and the company's focus will inevitably shift to the next new thing. But right now, in this moment, they have an opportunity to build something special around someone who has already proven she can carry that responsibility. The evidence is overwhelming. The fan connection is undeniable. The business metrics are clear. Liv Morgan isn't just ready for a sustained main event push. She's been ready for years, waiting patiently for WWE to catch up to what she's been showing them all along. The question isn't whether she deserves it. The question is whether WWE is smart enough to recognize what they have before it's too late. Every great wrestling career has defining moments where everything changes, where a performer goes from being just another wrestler to being someone special. Liv Morgan has already had several of those moments, but they've been treated as isolated incidents rather than building blocks towards something bigger. The Judgment Day storyline, the championship reigns, the organic connection with audiences, these weren't flukes or lucky breaks. They were previews of what Liv Morgan could accomplish if given the platform and support to reach her full potential. The wrestling world is watching. Fans are invested. The opportunity is there. All that's missing is the vision and commitment from WWE to bet on someone who has already proven she won't let them down. Liv Morgan has spent her entire career being underestimated, and she's used that underestimation as fuel to exceed every expectation placed in front of her. The time for underestimation is over. The time for half measures and missed opportunities is over. Liv Morgan has earned her place at the top of the wrestling world through talent, hard work, and an authentic connection with audiences that can't be manufactured or replicated. The only question now is whether WWE will finally give her the platform to show the world what we've been trying to tell them all along, that Liv Morgan isn't just a good wrestler or a solid performer. She's a star who's been waiting patiently for her moment to shine as brightly as she's capable of shining. And when that moment comes, not if, but when, remember that you heard it here first. Because while everyone else was sleeping on Liv Morgan, we were watching one of the most remarkable wrestling careers of this generation unfold right in front of our eyes. The only tragedy would be if WWE continues to waste the gift they've been given in the form of someone who represents everything right about professional wrestling in an era that often feels like it's lost its way. The story of Liv Morgan is still being written, but the chapters we've seen so far have been nothing short of extraordinary. From forgotten member of a disbanded faction to champion, from underestimated underdog to must-see television, from overlooked talent to fan favorite, every step of her journey has been a masterclass in how to build a wrestling career the right way, through hard work, authentic emotion, and an unwavering belief in yourself even when nobody else believes in you. That's the Liv Morgan story. That's why she's been the most underestimated champion in WWE history. And that's why WWE needs to wake up and realize what they have before it's too late to fully capitalize on one of the most natural, authentic, and compelling performers of this generation. The time is now, the opportunity is clear, and Liv Morgan is ready to prove once again that betting against her is always a mistake.